I, and one of the important aspects of life today is the constant change, and change is very rapid. And I'm really happy in terms of some of the quality of papers that I saw today, and also the topics that were selected. And I think the topics themselves lend themselves to lot more depth and lot more work. And I would say a very strong beginning from a lot of the people who presented today. I would especially like to congratulate the two students who presented. I think they are taking the right step in terms of doing this. I would encourage more and more students to do that. Yeah. And the government right now has a lot of initiatives where they're also encouraging students into entrepreneurship, and they're providing structures and frameworks where people can actually interact with PE investors, interact with other entrepreneurs and other angel investors who can basically support it. So I think the next stage for some of the students that I would recommend is think about, are there any thought process where you can actually create business models? Because the business models that this new generation creates, I think, is what is going to take us into the future. And I think with the big campaign from our Honorable Prime Minister on Make in India, Made in India, and what he's really pushing for, I think can apply specifically into the areas of security, software development, m-commerce, and I think all of these are very important areas. And cybersecurity, as such, is gaining a lot of dominance in the space. My couple of brief comments that I have, I think I already asked them in some of the questions. I think the concept note on agile offshoring and CMMI, I think, is something that is up out there in terms of as you look at some of the thought process of industry leaders. And I think NASCOM is funding a lot of studies in this particular area. I think so. That's a very interesting topic that you picked up there, and that was, you are Parul or Ankita? Parul. Okay. But you are Parul. Okay. Parul, I think good job on that. I think if you can, as I said, I think you're going into the e-governance and you're looking at it from a government perspective. I think there's a lot to be done in that particular space. And considering our e-governance initiatives today, they're still following the waterfall approach. And sadly to say, a lot of them are a little archaic in terms of some of the programs. We have advanced in terms of technology, but they're still implementing technologies that are sort of outdated. So I think that's a fantastic area. I think dive a lot more deeper into that, and I would love to interact with you offline. Then the next paper that I saw, which I think was on the m-commerce framework and security issues. Again, that is a significant rising trend in terms of as you look at the Flipkarts and as you see the Snapdeals and how they are basically looking at it. And I think m-commerce becomes a significant area when you look at it from the security aspects of what you can actually provide. And then if I take that security aspect and combine that with the last speaker where he was talking about trust building and service levels, I think I would relate it to how Flipkart recently went through this entire challenge of their entire servers and everything going down. So it's the question of, on one side you make promises, on the other side how are you going to really deliver to those particular promises. So I think what was presented by you, Shwati, right? Yeah, you, Shwati, and what was presented by uh, Dr. Sanjeev. Yeah, Sanjeev. Yeah, and I think those are two facets of the coin, right? In terms of how you really look at that particular aspect, because it's not only the availability of the network, but it's also the security, integrity, and everything. I think some very interesting aspects coming in from different angles, and I think those were covering some very key issues. And the first paper that was presented by okay, here, one second. Okay, I don't have the name of the gentleman who presented. Siddharth, yeah. I think it was on security and ethical issues in information technology and organizations outlook. I think that was a very tough topic because it's a paradox in terms of how do you basically balance with ethical between privacy, security, ethical issues, and how do you really manage it. But today organizations are grappling with that very that's a very important topic in organizations, because confidentiality, if you really go out there in the web today, confidentiality is becoming one of the biggest issues for organizations. And leak data and information leakage, and how they are moving out of the organization either maliciously or inadvertently, are very big issues where organizations are struggling with. And I think looking at it from a risk angle, looking at it from a confidentiality, looking at it from a security perspective, and also looking at it finally from an ethical perspective, I think is a good area to look at. I would encourage the authors to dive a lot more deeper. Take like some of the other speakers, how they took a particular topic and went deeper. I would encourage these particular speakers to possibly dive much deeper. Yeah. And to the students who basically presented some of my thoughts and feedback. Uh, if there is something there out on Wikipedia, don't come and present it. Yeah. Start at a particular topic level. Assume that your audience is going to be at a particular level. So set that particular tone and stage, and I would encourage all the speakers to do that. Set the tone and stage that this is my basic assumption and premise on where I'm going to be presenting it, and then start from that particular area, because I think I would have loved to see you dive more into the Trojans and things that DOS attacks or DDoS attacks, and get more deeper into those particular areas. And I think that would have become even more enriching. I think as you look at your paper 2, paper 3, I think I would encourage you to go deeper in. But I would say fantastic effort on that. Continue to do that. And for people who are there in the audience, I would encourage more papers. And I think I appreciate the gentleman who asked so many questions. Very good questions. Yeah, keep that going. I think that increases the thought process, and I think I would really like more and more students to come prepared. How many of you read these particular papers before you came into this particular session? Okay, one person there. I spent up to 3 a.m. in the morning reading all the papers that I was supposed to evaluate. Yeah, I think it's important for all of you, if you're coming to these sessions and want to take something over, that each of you have to spend the time and energy, because on one side it is the people who are presenting, and it will make them even more energetic and happy to do more stuff. And I think more such researchers should be encouraged a lot more, because then I think the level between academia and industry, I think that is where the synergies are starting to come. I think is going to become significantly more. And that is where, when people in the audience ask very intelligent questions which are probing into that particular paper, I think help develop that kind of trust build between the audience and the speakers. Yeah. Those were the papers. We will give our detailed evaluations to the team. Abhiraj, any thoughts? Any thoughts from your side? Okay. Abhiraj and I are part of the cybersecurity team of Deloitte. Abhiraj here is one of our stars in terms of doing a lot of work in cybersecurity. And I would say, for those of you who are looking into areas of software engineering, cybersecurity, I think that's a very encouraging area. As of today, it's been updated that India requires not 5 lakh but almost close to around 9 lakh professionals in the next 2 to 3 years. That is what they're looking for. And this is across all walks of life. Private organization, government organizations, the defense forces, everybody is looking for these particular professionals, because what I strongly believe, God forbid, but if there is if there is a next war, I don't think it's going to be fought on the battlefield. It's going to be fought in the cyberspace, and that is where it's going to be. So I think all of you have a bright future ahead of you. I think focus a lot more on what you're doing, and I think there are opportunities that you will need to leverage as you interact with industry leaders and industry giants in terms of what you can actually do. I think it's not about what you just do in the college. It's about what you do from an internship perspective, what you do from additional. Because if I look at a level set for most of you, there are going to be a lot of institutions that are there who are going to have people. But how do you basically shine out among that particular mass of people to say that I'm coming from this institute, but I'm one step ahead of everybody, right? And it's not only one step ahead of your class because it's a very competitive environment. How do you also be competitive in across the areas? For example, the students who presented the papers, I think I would go ask them, encourage them to go and present these papers in some other forums, because then you get visibility and it gives you the more comfort. And in as you look at industry, it is not about just presenting theoretical papers, but just the factor that you had the confidence to come up on the stage and present to this particular team. That was fantastic. I think more and more people should do that, because that's the way you basically learn. And any questions for me? Okay. Thank you very much. I know I'm standing between lunch and you, so that's between the rock and the hard place. So thank you very much.